Welcome back to the Morning Blend. I am Preston Rudy, and joining us right now is New York Times best-selling author Daniel Silva. He is out with his newest book, The Cellist. It's actually correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, this is number 21 with your main character. Is that right?
It is the 21st book featuring master spy and art restorer Gabriel Lon. This one begins in London with the murder of a man who once saved Gabriel's life. His name is Viktor Orlov. He's an exiled Russian billionaire and critic of the Kremlin. Gabriel undertakes a search for the killers and soon finds himself in a desperate race to stop an attack that could plunge American democracy into turmoil and leave Russia unchallenged on the world stage. So The Cellist is a fast-paced, entertaining story filled with art and music and glamour and corrupt Russian oligarchs and dirty European bankers. It's a perfect book to take to the beach now that we can go back to the beach again. But it deals with a couple of serious issues, namely the corrupting influence of dirty Russian money on the institutions of the West and ultimately on our democracy itself.
I think what so many people find fascinating about your books is that you're blending really fiction with really current events, if you will. And there is kind of I don't want to say a message here, but there are two major things, and I think The Cellist that people will recognize. One is what you just touched on, right? Russian money, how they can influence things. Talk a little bit about that. And then the other thing is that you were actually influenced with this book on the events of January 6th.
Yeah, we'll go to the first part first. I mean, thanks to some great investigative reporting and a very thorough report by the British government, we now know that from the very beginning of Vladimir Putin's rise to power, that he resolved to wage war on the West, to destroy the West, as in part for vengeance for the destruction of the Soviet Union, but he really wanted to undermine and weaken the West. And he had a great new weapon in his arsenal, and that is Russian money. And he resolved to use money as a weapon against us. And what the British discovered in this report that was released last year is that Russian money had rotted British democracy and had corrupted the British financial system. And so that's the starting point. That's the genesis for this plot, that we've got to shut down the flow of this money into our political systems. And I'm starting to on the final sequence of the novel, working towards the planned climax of the novel. And I get a phone call on January 6th from my wife, who's at the office. She's a reporter for CNN. And she says, "You got to turn on the TV. I don't have a television in my office." I said, "I don't want to turn on the TV. I'm writing." She says, "You got to turn on the television." I go upstairs, I turn on the television, and I see supporters of President Trump rampaging through the halls of Congress. And it just fit so well into what I was doing. That I scrapped my planned ending and wrote a whole new ending. Then I had to take the front half of the book and get that to match what I had written. Long story short, I had 6 weeks of about 14 hours a day at the computer getting the book ready for publication. But now, in basically the 6-month anniversary of the Capitol siege, I have a book out this week that deals with those terrible events.
I've got to ask you this. I was fascinated when I read this about you, that when you write your books, your novels, you don't have an outline. You just kind of start and go. Is that true?
I have I can see about a third of the book is the way I would describe it. Maybe a little bit less, just enough to where I'm comfortable to start working. And not like Raymond Chandler, who started at a sentence, basically. And Lee Child basically started with almost nothing when he started a book. I'm not like that, but I do start with very little. And part of the reason is that I've never really been able to bring a story to life in my mind on little index cards or in an outline. I sort of work sentence to sentence, paragraph to paragraph, get the story and the characters to come to life in my imagination and do it that way. So I work forward and as I go back and revise as I need to go, and I've gotten pretty good at it.
I would say so, and there are a lot of people out there that love your books and love what you've been writing. So clearly, it's working.
It's working.
Cellist is now out. New York Times best-selling author Daniel Silva. Mr. Silva, thank you so much for your time this morning. We look forward to reading your book and reading many more to come as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.